Hello, my name is Hugh Knight and I'm the Fechtmeister of die Schlachtschule. Tonight in our continuing series of videos about the plays of the Kunst des Fechten, we're going to take a look at another relatively uncommon play, or set of plays called the Plays of the Nebenhut. Now these aren't in any of the sources except in Master Sigmund Ringeck's book, because as he says, these don't come directly from Lichtenauer's teachings. They're built on his teachings. He's developed them from him or for himself. First, we have to clear up a couple of misconceptions. When he talks about the plays of the Nebenhut, many people have taken that to mean that there is a guard called Nebenhut. There is no guard called Nebenhut. Nebenhut is a position. It means near position, okay? That is part of the play that we're looking at. But there makes no sense to stand in Nebenhut. It is no different from Alber from a functional standpoint. Instead, we have to look at the text that Master Sigmund gives us. He says that the plays of the Nebenhut come from the cuts. What he's talking about here is the way you get into these techniques in order to use them. One of the things that people frequently do, and we see this particularly in the sword tag tournaments that people play, is that when somebody swings at them, they jump out of range, ignoring what they should be doing in a normal fight. What we want to do, and what these plays do, is prepare us to invite them back in and get ready to deal with what they're going to do. So let's take a look at that first and understand exactly what the situation is. So, we're going to fight, and my opponent is going to jump out of the way when I cut at him. Okay? Now, being a skilled swordsman, I would never cut to the ground. But many people do, and it's a sure sign that somebody's an amateur. So when we do it on purpose, what we're doing is inviting him to come back in. Oh look, I am helpless and open. I am no better of a swordsman than a guy who does test cutting. Please don't hurt me, okay? So we're saying, look, I'm helpless and open, please come in and attack me. And that's when this technique comes in then. So what I'm really trying to do is lure him into coming in while I appear helpless, all right? When that happens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my sword back up and displace his cut with my back edge. Now this action of cutting to the ground and picking back up is called the Wechselhau. We see it in Talhofer 1467 and in Andreas Lichtenauer's plays of the Sword and Buckler. The actual binding action of the play is called the Hinterbinden, or the bind behind. Okay? So these are all just parts of what we're looking at. You act from Nebenhut with the Wechselhau to perform a Hinterbinden, or a bind behind. So if you hear these different terms used, it can be kind of confusing. So let's take a look at what actually happens in the play. All right? So my opponent is prepared to jump back, and I attack. And I think, uh-oh, he has jumped out of my way. I'm going to fake a full wide open cut like the master tells us not to do to lure him in. Then when he comes back in, I'm going to deflect his cut and kill him. That deflection is the Hinterbinden. Now, it is the place where people make the most mistakes in trying to do this technique. When they come back up, what you frequently see is this. You see a big swinging motion of the arms. How defenseless is my opponent right now? Right, not at all, okay? Or what you see is they bring their hands straight up to create an opening through which the opponent can still hit. Pretty useless. So angle matters a great deal here. Another thing that matters is instead of using this big swinging motion of the arms, as most people do this, and as you'll see, the only videos I've seen on YouTube of anybody demonstrating this, you'll see them doing that. This is time to absolutely use the push-pull motion of your hands to do the technique. See where his sword is? It just flipped away. Just slapped right out of the way, contemptuously. And he's open to my return cut. So I'm going to use my hands, the push-pull motion of my hands, both to open for the Hinterbinden and then to close for the cut. So let's look at it as it's done. Okay? Do you hear the sound when my sword hit his? It should be almost a light slapping motion. Listen again as the contact happens. Okay? A very light slapping action. I am not beating it out to the side, okay? I'm not slamming into it hard, and I'm certainly not doing what most people think, where you bind with the flat of the sword. You must use the back edge of your sword, okay? When I do this, right, I want you to notice the angle right to there. But my trick here is that I want to slap him out of the way. I don't want to move with him. If I simply move his sword over and then go to cut, all he's going to do is move back with me. All right? I need to slap him out of the way so he has to recover while I'm cutting. Watch that again. See it? I just simply slapped him out of the way so he couldn't recover. Now, it can happen that your opponent binds into your cut because he sees what's happening. Okay? He stopped you. Because instead of his sword coming this way, he cut down into it. From there, we simply do a Duplieren. Okay, so let's watch that.